Hi, this video is about how I got started deciding to do a solar system and how my first steps that I took and what influenced my decisions. Basically, I knew I was going to have to go solar because smart meters were going in everywhere and they're putting them in more and more and more. And very few companies allow opt-outs, and as they roll things out, insanity increases and there's going to be more of it. So even if you're in a place where you're opting out now, you always have to be ready to go to solar. Because with the health issues that I had with the smart meter, there's no way I'll ever live with another one of those again. And so through the electrosensitive community, I learned that it wasn't as simple as just getting a solar system and going off grid. That most solar systems are very high EMFs. The controllers and the inverters put out very, very high fields and some radio frequency things as well. So basically, you get rid of your smart meter and you get a solar system and you're going to be just as sick. So what you have to have is a low EMF solar system, which would be a 12-volt solar system, and you're running on 12-volt and not using inverters. Or if you do use them, do it in a limited way where you have your laundry 200 feet away or 500 feet away, and you go out and you do your laundry and you have a different system for that. You wouldn't want it on the same system as your house. This site explains everything that you need to know about doing a low EMF solar system. It's not the conventional way. It's kind of frowned upon to do solar this way. It's kind of the old way that they did it back in the 60s and 70s. And so the conventional, a lot of conventional installers won't even do this kind of system because they're wanting like a higher technology to be used. But for us, it's really important. And he has here literally a whole book, and here's the index. And you can download the PDFs, so you can download and print them as well. So this site is EI Wellspring. It's www.eiwellspring.org. And if you get to that, then you get an index, and you're going to look up safer housing, and then you're going to go to off-grid, ultra-low EMF, and you'll get to that page that I had. So if you can get to EI Wellspring, you'll eventually be able to find this. And he talks about like how to go off in an emergency, and then he has a 4-part section on solar and the different components of the system. Now, you may have heard some bad things about this site. For me, it's been a lifesaver. For me, it's been great. The reason you may have heard bad things is because there is some misinformation. For example, the PWM and the MPPT controllers put out a lot of fields and a lot of RFs and things like that. Depending on which one you get, it's going to depend on what it puts out. And the one that he has the picture of here and tells you to get, that he says is 0 EMF, it's not 0 EMF, it's a PWM radiating controller. So it's something that I wouldn't be able to live in the house if it had that. So I looked into it. I was going to buy it because he said here, how safe it was and all that. But I did my homework, and I've learned enough information to do my homework so that when I went to the site that sold it, I even called up and verified that yes, these do put out, because what I was reading at the site where you went to buy it wasn't good. So chances are it's going to be pretty hard to find a controller. But with the exception of like that one little place where he has some misinformation and a couple other places, his information is really right on. It's really what you should follow. It's just that you have to, do your homework and check everything, verify everything before just taking someone's word for it. And then in the end, finding a controller might be hard, so he gives you a thing here on how to do a setup. And I can go more into that later. There's nothing that has to be made. It's not as techno-geek as this looks. So if you do come upon that page, read it 3 or 4 times, and you're going to see what he's talking about and take everything in. And you realize it's not what it looks like. You don't have to go have anything built. So this is the site where I started out. Again, you can print everything out for printing. And then about a year ago, I got a book because I was like, dummies books are always the best source to learn how to do something. So I got Solar Power Your Home for Dummies. Whoops. If you're trying to put a solar system on a home and just get off grid, this is not the book. This is a good book to know how to do passive solar, how to arrange trees in your yard so you get shade, how to shade your windows, how to buy window shades, how to put in an attic fan. But if you don't have electricity, what really does that matter? So that really wasn't the book for me, and I'm going to put it aside for some time when I do have a place and want to do all that stuff, which I have the place now, I just don't have parking for it yet. So a few months ago I ended up hearing about this book, and I got this from the library some time ago. I have pretty long dates, so you know, I think I started reading this about 3 months ago, and I've been renewing it. And this one is Photovoltaic Design and Installation for Dummies. Now this is the go-to. This is the one you want for doing what I'm doing. And it's basically a book written at people who are going to go into the industry, but being that that's the case, it's got all the information you're going to need. Everything from wires, conduits, wire size, you know, all your system's components, the site where you're going to put the solar and how it relates to the sun, everything you need from start to finish on how to do it. And it even covers system maintenance. And it's one of these books where I've read most of it, but it's one of these books that needs to be committed to memory, and then you know what you're doing when you understand this book entirely. So it's a book that needs to be studied and looked over and gone over. It's like I read the chapter on batteries, thought I knew it all, and then just about a week ago I went back through it again. I was like, wow, I get it now, and I really started to understand what it was I really needed when I went to buy my batteries. And so the next day I was able to buy my batteries with confidence. So that book I would say is number one. Then the internet is going to be your next resource. There's sites like this. This one's electricityfromthesun.info, and you start with About Us. You click on that, and then it'll say everything, and there'll be a menu at the top that will keep you going to different subjects for basic solar. And that has a lot of useful information as well. And like Northern Arizona Wind and Sun, they have a forum and they have information. Almost all these big solar outlets that are online have some information. You might hit one that has brochures on inverters that you can download. So the web is just full of constant information. So you can learn there. And the final thing is YouTube. You can watch people install systems. There's some people that do it right. There's other people that you wouldn't want to do it the way they're doing. But I've got to tell you, I've watched quite a few of those, and I've learned. I've learned from seeing somebody put in a wire. I see what they're putting in, and then they hook it up, and the system doesn't work. They're sitting in the dark, and the next day when the sun comes up, they hook it up again with a different wire. And that's a great way to learn something. You learn from your mistakes, and if you can learn watching somebody else make mistakes, even better. Then I don't have to suffer. I can watch them suffer and make the right decision to begin with. So I really appreciate that they put that out there, because I can learn from it. So YouTube is great. And then there's people that know exactly what they're doing, and you pretty much figure it out. If you're doing the books and you're doing your homework and you're doing your study, you're going to know what you're watching and kind of be able to tell, like, this person, I don't really trust what they're doing. And so you're going to maybe go back to your book and look again and see, wow, they're kind of goofing up. And then the next day you're going to see them, you know, come on with no power and show you the video on how they're hooking it up right this time, because they went and got information on how to hook it up right. So, and plus with YouTube you really get the experience, because there's people that are out there living the life you're getting ready to live. There's people out there living in RVs. There's people out there that are going off-grid, living off-grid. You can watch them live their day-to-day. You kind of get a step into their life and see what it's like to do it. So I highly recommend that. So that's basically what I've done. Like over the last year, especially the last few months, I've been really intensive about it, to learn what to do and to find out what I need so I can go out and get that. So that's basically how I got started with solar, and how I got, you know, started to learn, and that was the beginning of my low EMF 12 volt DC solar system. So I recommend you to go learn, and just stay with me on the journey as I learn, and have a great evening.